Welcome to the Mantic Universe podcast. This is your host Matthias speaking. I am here with Mark Zelinsky for another episode of MUP Champions. Hi Mark, how are you doing?
Yay! Yeah, it's Champions time. I love it.
Nice. So, first of all, I have to say my German copy of Champions still did not arrive. I talked with the shop yesterday and they said they don't know when it's coming. They only know they have several pre-orders in at the moment, but no time for release yet. So I'm still not maybe it will be after 4th edition in here. So German review of the Champions box is up for later. Maybe next year. We don't know. So going to our main topic.
Well, just to jump in there real quick, Axel and the Ogre box set are still not available in my local friendly game store or at the mail order place that I tried to get it from. So if I did not pick it up while I was in England, I would not have it yet. So it needs to get moving through the supply chain here.
So I'm not the only one with the late orders out there. So at least this is something good to know. But nice one. So yeah, you can't build anything at once anyway. Yeah, so everyone out there, we know the boxes are available. We know they take some time until delivered. It might be because there's something in the supply chain or they are selling better than expected. We will see. So hopefully everyone gets what they want, at least until Christmas. And yeah, Mark and me are up to now for a little bit of wish listing because Champions is now going for a good year. And the big question out now is what's up there in future? What things might come or what we would like to see? Mark.
Yes, Matthias. you want to talk about the wish listing? Let's do it.
We want to talk about the wish listing first.
There you go. Well, folks, if you have not been on the Kings of War Champions Fanatics page over on Facebook, I invite you to join the group. It's a lot of fun. And Michael Little put in a post on the Kings of War Champions Fanatics page, which I thought was fantastic. And I thought it was something to really talk about. And it's gotten some traction on that page too. So you can go over there and add your comments as well. But I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'll give you a quick blurb, and then Matthias can, walk us through the various points here. So, but first one, it says, more support with new company releases as 4th edition comes out, but I would also like an expansion book to add new mechanics and options to the game, similar to the Armada expansions. Here's what I would like to see added to the game. So I'm going to stop there because Matthias will go through those and we'll talk about them. But my first reaction to that whole thing is, well, Champions is doing its job. At this point, the company line is going to be, well, you've gotten it. You've played Champions. You like it. You're into the Kings of War thing. You're all set for Kings of War now. So you don't need an expansion book. Your expansion book is 4th edition. It's coming out soon. Join us. Buy a Xirkaali army. You're all set to go. Yay. So, but I would kind of like to see an expansion book too, which is why we're talking about this today. So, and he brings up a couple of points. So, Matthias, why don't you go through those?
The first point he brought up is, the first point we got up is he wants to have a 3 or 4 player support with more companies, more fun, and double the mat size. So this is something that is really interesting into because especially when we think about it, this is a starting point for Kings of War that you start with together with your kids. And if you happen to have 2 kids and not just 1 or 3 of them and all of them want to start at the same time, obviously playing a 4 players game is something that would be nice to have. And also if you're a gaming group, multiplayer games are always a little bit tricky to do. Especially because of waiting times and things, but Champions, as is a small and fast game, could be really great for doing like a 4-player game on a bigger mat or on a larger size with 4 starting points. Like we have different scenarios, like double the depth of the mat to make it a full gaming table, and then having a center objective, and the one who grabs it first wins or something like that. This could be something, I would like to see that one. What do you think, Mark?
Kings of War Champions Ultimate Edition. Yeah, no, that would be fun. Actually, there was a Warhammer expansion that came out, and I can't remember the name of it, but it had 3-4 players in it, and it had special scenarios for it. And we adopted it for Kings of War, so we played it up at the hobby shop for a while. 3 players, quite a few times, 4 players once, but it was a lot of fun. And now, of course, it was on a big table. We played on a 4x8 for it. But I think for Champions, you could do that, double the size, and put it on the board, and at least get 3 on there. But I think it'd be interesting. I'd be all for it. I'd give it a try.
Mm-hmm. I think I could also see some little adjustments that you don't have this classic turn-based development, but like everyone moves first, everyone shoots first, and things go on until combat, so that to reduce the waiting time a little bit. There are options to make that work. I can see that. The second point he added in was he wants a campaign or RPG progression. Have your champions and units level up between matches, but also receive wounds if they die in combat. That's a tricky one for me. Because, how to say, if we do things on an RPG game, this is usually meant to be cooperative, so that everyone has a chance to get their points and level up. But if it's a player versus player scenario, there's always one who loses, because not all matches end in a draw. And this might be so in the past with other games that had such a progressive system. That was the tricky point of one losing too often, falls behind without compensation, and then it gets boring or bad experience for those people. So I would like to see a campaign system or RPG-like progression, but it's tricky to be done right so that it's still a fun game and not going too long. I think a campaign on a weekend style of thing, because Champions game are fast. You do half an hour to an hour, so you could have all your necessary campaign games on a weekend if you want to. So something like this could work as a fast play option, but as a deep RPG, I'm thinking we would need a cooperative mode as well.
Yeah, I think it would be good. You could do this theoretically in a 3 or 4 game narrative type of competition, something like that. I hate to call it a tournament, but a narrative tournament.
Event. Let's call it event.
Yeah, event. All right. So a narrative event, it would be great. I mean, you could work your way through 3 or 4 games of Champions really easy in 4 or 5 hours, if you had a break for lunch or something, and get everybody home. So I think that would be cool. I think that'd be fun. I have seen some campaign rules by someone that was trying to put one together. They're interesting. So, again, another optional rule, just another way to use your Champions models in a different way. I think it'd be kind of neat. They usually get unbalanced. Everybody's got old Necromunda or, Mordheim or something like that. Once you get into the leveling up, some of the units get ridiculous. And so you really got to do that. The other thing too is these are our companies. They've got these legendary units or units that are their specific retinue. So, you could see it both ways. You shouldn't be messing with them. And the other thing is, well, they're out there. They should get some experience and get better. So that would be kind of cool. And, but then again, Champions isn't balanced either. That's the one thing we're discovering as we're playing the game more and more. It's not balanced. It's not meant to be balanced. It's for fun. So, if you were going to do a tournament, so to speak, a narrative event would definitely be the way to go. And this could certainly form the backbone of that. So you could tell a story as you were there for the event together.
An idea that's now popping up in my mind would be that if the current boxes with the units as they are isn't the starting point for the RPG, but the end point. Like you're not starting with the current boxes and rules and units, but the campaign starts with more toned down, more generic ones, and your units have to become the ones that you buy in the box. So like you start out with one command order instead of 3 on your champion and something like that. And as you progress with the second game, you get the second command order, and the third game you have the full command order, and then the last game when everyone is developed, you get or stats like your unit, your knights start out without crushing or thunderous charge because they have to gain that while they progress. And then it's not like you don't need to win the game or things like that, but more like earning scenario points during the game. So it doesn't matter who wins, but like as long as you score something, you might be able to upgrade your unit. So things like that. And then your last game in this narrative event is then that you play with the full champions boxes as they come with the rules in the box. So something like this. So not so how do you become the champion you are when you buy the box? This might be an interesting thing. So
oh, that sounds absolutely fascinating. As you were talking, I'm thinking about it, how we would do it, and then you kept hitting all my points as we were going along. So I think that's fantastic. But it's just a good optional way to play and come up with different events. People, we're Kings of War players too, so people are already trying to figure out how can we have a tournament for champions. Like,
don't call it
narrative
tournament.
events
It's an event.
I like better.
Yeah. I mean, it's also when you say, you come together for a gaming night and just playing 3 or 4 champions games in a row with the same people might be boring for you already if you played it too much and you don't want to try different boxes. So this could be an option. So we definitely need a campaign system in here for the people who want to do it. If it's really going full RPG, we may see, depending if other people with better ideas come for sure up with solutions. So yeah, but I'm up for that one thing to make like a narrative event possible. Not a tournament, not playing out who is the best champions player, who has the best company, but really like a progressive storyline on development, just to have several games in a row on a gaming day to have fun.
Yeah, I think that would be great for like the Abyss, like you said. Start with one command order, go to 2, go to 3. That'd be neat. I mean, they have a hard time against some armies, and people are trying to make them work better. I haven't seen the big outrage lately about how bad they are. So, but maybe people are starting to figure out how to play them. But from that standpoint, and I'll just interject real quick. A lot of people say, to win with the Abyss, you got to concentrate on the objectives. Do not try to play Smash Mouth with them. They are not meant to do that. So evidently that's working. I actually won a game trying to do that. Now, was that it or bad dice rolls on my opponent's part?
Both.
Both. Yeah. So, but, I mean, it's tricky to go, learn how to play it. It's just, if you're playing a game where you're trying to introduce somebody to the game, definitely give them the Basileans, so that they'll do okay. But anyways, it'd be interesting to see. I kind of like the progression. And again, I'm going to do the company pitch last time I'm going to do it. If you're getting bored with champions and you need something else, Kings of War is waiting for you. That's what the game's meant for. But on the other hand, Ronnie did say we may enjoy champions and just get stuck here. So, there's the pitch for the expansion book. So
absolutely. The next point he brought up was additional scenarios that completely changed the game, like Armada's Kraken and Magic Vortex scenarios, as an example. This gets a little bit into the cooperative mode or having a third player on the table kind of thing, because like when you play against the Kraken, we had something similar in Ambush with the Giant on the table when everyone tries to get to the Giant. So yeah, this is something like you how to say, what you already mentioned with the campaign is something to break up the PvP mode to get a cooperative mode or an NPC on the table you have to fight. So this would directly link into the 3 to 4 player support. Might be interesting to work like the one who not just not kills the Kraken or the giant that is on a table, but the one that survives it wins the game. Something like that. So to breaking out the regular PvP stuff into something different. So might also go into solo game rules, because once you have an AI deck or a card deck or something like that added into on how the NPC reacts, you could also use that to play solo, which is something some people want to see or need because they have hard time to find players but still want to try the game. So this could be an interesting option that goes directly into it. We add that cooperative scenarios, scenarios where fighting an NPC, and solo play scenarios that you can tweak in that direction.
Yeah, very cool. And it's like I mentioned before too. The other thing is adopting the Vanguard scenarios too. So I think it would be kind of a neat way to do it. You could even use the Vanguard board size too, to line up the troops. Because I mean, face it, Vanguard, you had 3 or 4 little component units, but maybe there are only 3 guys or something like that. But
yeah,
it's something you could do. But would they have the one get the messenger in the middle, that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I think that
something,
those could be easily adapted for champions.
yeah. Like taking the good stuff out of the Vanguard scenarios to add it to champions could be a way to go. So without needing too much work, because things are similar enough to work out, and it doesn't need to be balanced in that mode anyway. So who needs balance when you can have fun? So also those scenarios, and when the game is short, you can replay them by switching sides and things like that. So this is a neat thing to do. And coming to the last point, a new product to spice up standard games of Champions. This could be a deck of cards that includes one-time spells and abilities, events that change up each round, or neutral threat that can affect all players. So this is again pointing in like a scenario with an NPC that you fight in for, but also some, I think, a card deck with random effects that turns on every time, or a spell that happens, like might be good. Just thinking about what the possibilities. Also, something like items you could pick up, or one-time use spell a unit might use or not use. Also, with a chance that it harms the unit, something like that. So, placing random objects on the table, if the unit moves over it, you pick it up, and it could be either like doing damage to the unit, or the unit gains a spell that they can use once on an enemy unit, so something like that, or nothing happens. So like a 3 or 4 option game dies with random effect, where you're not sure if you really want to risk it or not, but it could upspice the game.
Yeah, I could see something. Warcry had a great way to play, so to speak. They had a system, is kind of the word I was looking for. Well, they have the hammer, dagger, and shield, I think. So, we only have 3 units except those halflings. But, I mean, you could put that together, put in a deck of cards. I mean, again, we've talked about a lot of stuff that could be fan made for it too. But, a set of cards that would let you play the scenarios like that as well. I think that would be a lot of fun, setting that type of stuff up. An event deck. We've already got event decks for Kings of War for setting up scenarios and different things for battlefield conditions and stuff like that. The one that we had, I think, for second edition that Nick Williams did, we could just adapt that or something like that. You could put it into the box with the pull-out cardboard center with the cards, and everybody can sleeve them. I think that'd be kind of cool, as opposed to like printing up a box.
I'm currently thinking up. We also had, I have one here for Warpath and Dead Zone. We had those 2 there. So this random effect cards or strategic element cards were always a great fun and a good addition to spice up the games a little bit. So I can see them doing that. It might also be an interesting point, because to make the physical product a little bit more generic, so that you can add rules and anything online or as a PDF, so that you are more flexible on changing things up later on, so that you only need to buy the deck of cards once, and there's generic symbols and things like that on it, and the rules text can then be changed over time to what the symbols and things actually mean, so that you're not locked in cards that you may not only use once or twice, and then you find them boring but cannot use them in addition and more, but just like having more like tokens that you can assign to different rules and things like that, so that you also can make up your own rules if needed and not just need to follow the ones on there. So
yeah, you can always make up your own rules. So, I mean, that's the fun part. So, as we start talking about what we're going to add to the book and speculate a bit, I've got a few suggestions. But, one of the other things is when you publish the book here, it could be PDF only, maybe through the companion or something like that. So you don't have to publish it and, send it out. And, if you put sheets of cards in there for people to, print and cut out, I mean, that would be kind of cool. So, it all depends on how you want to approach it, and where Mantic might want to take it. But those are just some good suggestions.
I mean, finally using the companion would be an interesting idea as well, because the Champions is now the one game that doesn't has anything in the companion yet, because it actually don't really need it, because you get although I would like to see the rules itself in the companion, just to look things up a little bit easier. But the rules are easy enough that you don't need them really somewhere as a backup once you got the book, and you need the boxes with the rules anyway. So there's no real need for a list builder or anything like that. But if we go for expansions, for solo play rules, for additional scenario and cards, the companion could be a good place to do it. So make it, because printed books, when we already have distribution issues with Champions, a printed book might be tricky again to do. So make it online, make it digital only, so that the actual what we add for Champions in the companion would be the more advanced rules, additional rules, the scenarios, solo play, and things like that. So this could be or even an RPG, because then you can also like track your units and your progression in the companion, so that you also would have a tool for that one in here, and how you upgrade them and things like that, so that you don't. I know classic pen and paper is all what we want and need, but some people like to have it digitally at the moment or in future. So this could be an option, like when you have a campaign in RPG mode, to use the companion for Champions like that, because you don't need it for army lists, but as an RPG track, it would be nice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of neat if you put it together. So that would give it a reason. If you did that, you'd probably make sure, I don't know what you'd give out for a free version of Champions, because, it's not meant for that. It's not, so maybe you just put it behind, if you have the gold subscription or something like that, Champions gets thrown in for free, or I don't know. But, get people to encourage them to, be using the companion. So. And, they could work it out. And we've got another reason that we're going to talk about down the line here. Another reason why the companion could definitely be used with Champions. So, all right. Are you ready to speculate?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
get
some
lead off,
speculation
or I'll
on
lead
here.
off?
Yeah.
So, all right. Do you want to go first, or?
No, you start. This time you start.
All right. So drum roll, please. All right. First things first, I am taking a look at the way things are setting up, and I'm wondering if the Salamanders will be the very first STL only Champions company. I think that would be very cool. We already know that there is a Wingtasar Publishing Salamander character that is definitely going to be in the game. So is he definitely going to be in the game because he's in Champions? We'll see. So I think that'd be kind of cool. That also would be the people that say, I can't see the cards. Yeah. Sell it as a package up on online, and get it, buy it, print it. And with Mantic doing their print on demand system, from headquarters or from different places around the world. That should work out. And that would give you a reason to put the cards on the companion because, well, if you're having a print shop in the USA, say print the 3D models, they're not going to be printing the cards. So you'd offer those as a PDF and those would be available. And,
there are some interesting things coming up because it's it's a neat experiment, let's call it that, because now Mantic is doing an upgrade to their armies with first time ever doing a full STL army with Kings of War. We already had something like this in Dead Zone, where you got prearranged teams, but those were not new models. Those were old models that were previously available in PVC only for Star Saga or other games that were rearranged as digital sculpts as new teams in the Vault for Dead Zone. So this looked to be working well enough for them to decide that now for Kings of War they want to have one army that needs several new units but isn't possible to do for them in full plastic yet, will get an STL release. And let's see how this print of demand works out. This is something that may or may not get tricky. Other companies have struggled with that, depending on the partners, because sometimes the quality isn't there, and not all partners handle things the same way. But it also would remove the big part of shipping resin over the planet when you have something close to you, and also for everyone, of course, who has a printer at home can do these things like that. So also the other game, Armada, has moved to digital for the most part. So all the new factions or fleets they got lately were digital only. So there's a development in here, and now with Kings of War getting an STL army, we know there will be a Xirkaali Champions box from the same book. So getting 2 Champions boxes with each campaign book or expansion book that is released for Kings of War would be an interesting choice. And obviously, because Trident Realm won't get a second box, as we know, because Placoderms are a new plastic kit with the Death Horrors, but because they already got one recently, they are not yet getting a second one, maybe later. So it might be a different one. Halflings also already have a Champions box, so it should be Salamanders to get one. And all the champions are also available in Kings of War, as far as we know, as hero choices. So getting the different way, releasing the champions hero in Kings of War first, and then adding it as a champions box later to print or to print on demand it is something that I would really like to see, because it opens up a lot of possibilities also for those who don't like plastics, or where champions isn't just available because of any supply or shipping issues, or because you're living in a region in the world where say, I really want to play that game, but it's much too expensive to have it shipped over here. So this could be something expanding the niche champion is in there. And then the big question would be what future STL's armies there might be, because if we don't know yet if every expansion box will get an STL release, or how many in total armies will be fully available as STLs. So, but at least if champions got printed champions box, there should be at least 2 of them, so that you have 2 players who cannot access the other boxes can play against each other by printing stuff at home. So, yeah.
No, those are good thoughts. So, that'd be very exciting. So, and also, I mean, I think we already have a digital rule book for champions, if I recall correctly. So, it would give you a way to do that. And Epic Warpath is also going on to the companion, and they have a My Mini Factory campaign going on right now for the STLs, and they just released the STLs for the core forces for that.
Yeah.
So it also gives a place similar to Armada for champions to go and live in the digital realm if the game ever, fizzles out. But, everything I've heard, and I would love for somebody to corroborate or prove me wrong on that, says that Champions is doing well. So, which is good to hear. I know that, some people have mentioned, on podcasts and stuff that's not doing well in their area, but, overall it seems like it's doing pretty well. So, which is good to hear. So I haven't seen it in my local store either. So,
yeah, I mean, Champions is still a great entry-level game to rank and file fantasy gaming. So, and all the models so far look great, and expanding it, it's really fun to play. So, and I mean, the Epic Warpath STL release was a little bit unexpected because we knew that a campaign on is coming for the expansions because they are in Racine from Mantic Games, and they had already trouble with the resin casting and things like that. So they said, and they were also available during the Kickstarter. So this was known that those are being added to the wider public as the STLs later, but that we also got the core armies. So everything that is in plastic is also now available digitally. So this could also be something for Champions later on to make it more accessible for people, but just starting with one or two Champions boxes now and expanding on that later would be an interesting thing to keep the game going and also accessible. So, but yeah, now that Epic Warpath got the release it got with STLs and the plastics models being openly released at the same time, everything is possible, I think.
Yeah, one other reason to have a little bit of hope that you would have it up on the companion as well as the same thing they did with Epic Warpath with the release for the different language packs that they had of the rules. So maybe your German rules for champions could go up on the companion when they're ready. And, of course, you want to buy them at the store, but, that way, if the English version shows up or something, you can grab the rules off online or something like that. But that would be another reason to throw them up there. So.
Yeah, I mean the Mantic has released a or a translation hub or how you would call that, but they have now rearranged their shop to have different languages displayed in a different way. And at the moment we have French, German, Spanish available for Champions as digital rules. Think they're not that expensive. Let me just look that up. Yeah, the digital rule book is 30 euros in German and French as well. So at the moment, France has the most option for translated rules because they have the Dead Zone, the Warpath, and the Champions one. In German, there's available the Epic Warpath and Champions book. Spanish is Epic Warpath, Champions, and Armada. And Italian at the moment, only the Epic Warpath books. So this should be expanded in future. And the big question is also, of course, how the companion will change with 4th edition release of Kings of War, because now we know that they have started to rework it because to remove all the issues, or to try to remove all the issues they had in the past, and to adjust it for what they need with 4th edition. So maybe we also get translated rules in the companion itself at some point, and that things will be expanded in future. And yeah, let's see how this is handled by Mantic after 4th edition is released.
There you go. Very, very cool. All right. I have the first one. Do you want to take one? Do you have some ideas? I got a couple.
Yeah.
More.
So the one speculation that it's out for me is now that we know that we get 6 expansion books for Kings of War in 4th edition that are already known by title. We know that there will be one army in a bigger focus for a plastic release, which means that at least one army for each book will get a Champions box, because Ronnie confirmed and promised it several times that every time they release a new plastic set, we will get a Champions box, except for Trident Realm, because they already got one. but they will up be for a second champion box later when they know how to handle those kind of things. So any faction is actually open for a second champions box once this one is out, which might get interesting with different focus in here. So would just be bad to have a second champions box for one faction before all the others got one. So the advantage and disadvantages for both. But the big question is now if every book, which champions boxes, of course, will be the main ones for each faction book. So we expect dwarves, elves, undead, orcs to join in for champions as well, to have the classic fantasy factions available. But also what happened to the second release arm in the book, because Matt Gilbert confirmed that they tier their armies as the focus they get, like the Army A is getting the most plastic releases, Army B will get some plastic releases, Army C maybe something if they need something, and Army D will just fill in some gaps that are left overs. With the first expansion book, we have the Army A being the Xirkaali that got their full plastic release, and of course get a champions box. We got the Trident Realm that got 2 plastic boxes, or 2 plastic units, I have to say, because there's several units boxes covered with that one. And halflings get something, and salamanders as the 4th army a full STL release. Maybe we even get 3 armies or more for champions this way, because when every book gets an STL army, we are open to have, of course, more champions as STLs. But the big question now is, what do we expect for elf? One is in a different blog or podcast said that elves and dwarves are definitely coming with the expansion books. So I'm looking forward to having an elves and dwarves champions box in here. I'm very curious on how those one turns out, but also on what else we are getting. And the books are also said to be 6 months apart, which would also fit in the scheme to have every 2 or 3 months another champions box to keep the pace going. So there will be something covered for next year and the year after. The big question is just one, which one? Ronnie said elves are right in the middle, so expect them there. Dwarves a little later in the line, so maybe right after elves or somewhere at the end. And everyone at the moment is also speculating what the second expansion box armies are. We know that ogres are in there, but they already have a champions box. So everyone else, if you want to speculate without what the next big champions box after Xirkaali is, leave a comment, write it down, go on Facebook, and then let's find out who was right at the end.
Well, I think one of the ways we can look at this too is when the releases come out is who's got a champions box already, right? And then slot them in as the third and 4th army. I'll make the argument that the salamanders are the 2nd army, and that ogre or the halflings are number 4, right?
Yeah.
In this. So that's going to be my argument for that. So let's say the next book comes out. Now I am just speculating. I know nothing, okay, as far as this goes. But
we know never anything.
I don't know anything. I'm purely guessing. But let's say Basileia is in the next book. Okay, they're going to be number 4 or number 3, right? I mean, because they already have a champions box. So who's going to be the other one? And then you just got to think about, okay, who are the armies that don't have plastics right now that need plastics? And they're going to be in your 1 and 2 slot. They'll be the ones that are getting the release. Like in this one, Trident Realm, I'll say is the 3rd army, right? Because they got a couple of plastics. So you've got the Xirkaali, the new army coming out. Then you've got the salamanders are getting a big release, all STL, and a lot of units that they don't have already. 2 plastic frames for the Trident Realm, and maybe a hero or something like that for the halflings. And I think that that's the way it's sorting out. So I think that that's a template we can use to kind of speculate a little bit on, who are in the books. So I'm sad to hear that the elves and the dwarves won't be released at the same time. I thought that would make an awesome 2-player set, and you could write some great lore for that. So, but maybe the dwarf set, I don't know how this would go, but free dwarves versus imperial dwarves. So, so it'd be Ronnie's dream come
from a
true.
pure Kings of War lore perspective, that would be actually a great set. Having the dwarf civil war fully going on now, that this would so it might not be interesting for a lot of people out there, but just purely from a panel perspective, this would be a great set to get those things going. But yeah.
Release it.
Elves or dwarves might be the better option in here.
I think so, but Ben Stoddard's 3rd book will be coming out in the trilogy sometime. It'd be nice to time that up with a dwarf Civil War book. So with a 2-player set. But hey, that's what we're here for, to speculate, right? So
So the other armies that might or not yet have a champions box, or not directly, is Abyssal Dwarfs and Redkin. So Redkin have 2 plastic sets, so they could technically get a champions box already from the options they have in their plastics. But when I asked Matt Gilbert about it, he said that they're down the line to waiting on an additional plastic release. So definitely up for on those reworked armies. Because the second plastic set is shared with the sci-fi range. So, but this made them also a candidate for an STL army release, because they share a lot of units currently with the Warbuff universe, especially some of the plastic units, and some units are resin upgrades on those. So they could, depending on how things going, get those sci-fi plastics, or more steampunk plastic, we have to say, being replaced with resin or STL models. So this could be an option there. And then there are Abyssal Dwarfs, which currently only have a single plastic set out there. This covers a lot of options in the army list, and you can go further with conversions and resin upgrades. But it's only 1 set, so they are definitely up there for needing more plastic sets, especially to get the cavalry or the monster units done, which would also make a great champion set. But this is also, can we spoiler that the Northern Alliance box is already, so everyone who don't know yet or don't want to know yet, just skip the next 5 minutes. Because the Northern Alliance champion is actually an Abyssal Dwarf on Hidden Spy or Incognito, trying to make his way back after a war. So this could play into an Abyssal Dwarf champions box to get the story-driven amount of that character in, like a developed champion or an opposing foe for him to get the story going. This would be an interesting choice. But then again, we have Northern Alliance versus Abyssal Dwarfs. Way too many dwarfs in there for that kind of thing. Ronnie would like it, but I guess not many other people out there. But this is something. So those two, Redkin and Abyssal Dwarfs, are something that might be interesting to see for champions and what plastics they actually get.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, but if I was just sitting here thinking, all right, we've got 9 companies that are out already. We got 6 books. All right. So that these are all Army 3s and 4s candidates, right? So you can seed the books. Yeah. I didn't hear that ogres were coming out definitely in the next book. So that's interesting. So
I think this was on, I don't know, podcast on one of the, I think it was the YouTube live stream, Ask Me Anything, that Ronnie did, where I said ogres are in the second book.
Okay. All right. So ogres and I don't know. I'm going to say Basileia because they just love Basileia. So, so there you go. So there's 4 of them and you got 4 books left, right? So, and you got what, 5 armies left. So you're going to have a double up and then one in the other ones, probably. Me speculating. So, find the ones that don't have plastics. So, and you got to see, I'd love to see Forces of Nature. I think that would be very interesting. Get some new centaurs. Do you mix the Green Lady in there or not? There's some real possibilities, but those are going to be your armies 1s and 2s, I think, if they focus on them. Elves and dwarfs, though, they kind of break that mold a little bit because they need full ranges and full resets. So, and they definitely, I don't think would go STL. They're too popular for that. So they're not fringe enough. So, that could break that a little bit. So very interesting, though. Very interesting. All right.
Man, the other point is what's happened with undead, because at the moment they don't have how to say their plastic range, while being one of the first Mantic did, is still a very good one. They have a lot of different plastic kits, which are like small frames, like the ghoul frame only has 2 models on it, I think, but is fully customizable and works together with the zombie frame to exchange parts. We have 2 different frames of skeleton warriors. We have the standard skeletons and the revenants. So the only thing they would need in plastic would be the cavalry option and some monsters in there, because all the monsters are either resin or PVC. So undead could get a champions box straight away, but because like they still have those old style wobble bases on the models, Mantic won't do it with that way, because they need to go into those old 20 mil bases with the cutout hole in there to be playable. So this is not something that works well with champions. Only as an expert kit will it tell people you actually need to glue the plastic box bases together to get your regiment in there. But so this is not something beginner friendly, so they won't do it that way. So they either get only 1 or 2 plastic kits, which might not be doing well for a champions box, because if they only get new cavalry as a box added, because everything else is still fine, it still is not enough for a champions box. So they need some more plastics in there. But at the same time, they're not very beginner friendly in that plastic style. So this might also be an option for an STL army, like, because they don't get not enough new plastic because they don't need it. So make it available as 3D printed with those style of models for people to play undead and champions.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, my spidey sense tells me they're army number 2 in the last book, because it is titled Death. So I think you're going to get, your wet and dead, wet and dry undead in book 6, and they just seem. I don't think they'd be an army 1. I think they'd be an army 2. Get a nice array of plastics, but they got to get rid of the circle bases. I mean, they'll never work in champions as they are right now. And, if you think about it, they're getting rid of the elves and the dwarfs. They have the circle bases. So if you take care of the undead, get rid of them, the only other one you got to clean up is the orcs. And they've been combined with the Riftforge orcs. And it seems like they're the lead army and the Riftforge are underneath them. So that kind of also, my spidey sense tells me that you're going to be getting new super cool models, because the Riftforge are not the army that's the head of the faction. They're the second guys, which tells me I'm going to get super awesome orc models, and then the Riftforge ones will be, the second. So I don't know, just speculation.
I mean, definitely just from the age and the style of the models, the orcs, undead, dwarves, and elves are on the list for rework. We just don't know if they're all being a main army with the full rework. I mean, elves definitely are, dwarves as well, because their design choices don't fit in the modern Mantic line anymore. Orcs aren't that bad in general. So the overall design is still there. Like I have gotten one of the heroes was, I think it was the orc Grucher or Flagger that was for the longest time only available in metal, got reworked in resin some time ago. I just bought them because I was curious to check how that would work out. And that's a super nice model. And I really like the style they're doing with that one. So I can see if the plastics are reworked for feral orcs in that same way, so that the classic orcs they have, the more barbaric ones, going that line down, and the plastic kit is fully compatible with the Riftforge orcs one, so that you can swap out heads, weapons, and stuff like that. Oh, you could make an awesome army without them needing too many plastic kits as well. So this could also go as a second army and not necessarily a main one. And also with the Rift Fortress being there as a theme and not as the main army going, it would like you need like 2 plastic kits to get the standard barbaric orcs in there, and then you add the Rift Forge as the more elite warrior style that adds in the armor or heavy armor that you have in there. Yeah, orcs will be super interesting also for a champions box, obviously, because it's like they have super. I really like the theme of the classic orcs they have with the Mantic in there. So, yeah. So let's see what's happened to them.
Yeah, I really like the classic Mantic orcs as well. So I really think it's a neat army. So, and they also have some units that definitely could use redoing, particularly all the ones that are sitting in the resin plastic, the Restic, and those all need to be redone. So, but that would be very interesting. All right. Well, my next speculation, what I would like to see in an expansion book would be cards for every army that currently doesn't have a company out there. They could be superseded by releases. You're probably not going to see the undead until book 6, as I just speculated. And, I know the temples, at least Marshall would like to play as undead. So, it'd be a way for them to get into it while they're waiting. So that would be kind of a get you by list. They did that in Warcry and, things like that. You could put them into a book just temporarily. As releases. If you think about it, we had Forgotten Empires, and you just put them in there. They're stopgaps.
Yeah.
They get you in playing the game, and then they just get superseded. Everybody should know that up front. Don't think that the pages of this expansion book are going to last beyond that. You could also again put those on the companion, and they would be there for you, and I think that would be cool. What do you think about that?
An interesting one, especially if put on the companion. So you could like to see to reduce the waiting time, or people not wanting to start a full army while they wait for their army to be reworked in the expansion book, especially if we don't know what's coming up. Maybe Mantic is going to release the contents of the books further down the line, that once after 4th is released, we know for each army how long everyone is waiting to get them, and if they want to start. And with the first expansion books, we also would know the amount of change the armies will go through. So if the fears everyone have were justified or not. And getting out champions lists in the companion as an expansion to see to have the waiting times of all the people a little bit reduced, and say, yeah, I don't want to start with undead yet, because they are in the last book and I'm really curious what they are going to see out there. So getting them a champions list today, people can at least play with a small force while they build another main army in there, would be a nice addition that with digital support, because then it's also not a problem with buying paper that didn't last long, because it isn't paper, it's digital only, and you can adjust and change everything on the fly if needed.
There you go. That's our digital expansion book. Yes, definitely. That'd be very interesting. So I'd love to see that. I think that it would be exciting. Again, that list, they got to be very specific, as a get you by list. And I would have done these myself if I had unlimited time and was retired and independently wealthy, you know, and had great graphic skills.
The usual
it's all
stuff,
in my mind. Yeah, I'd have all those done already for the community, but well, I don't. So I'm gonna have to wait and live vicariously through other people and hope that my expansion book dreams come true. So we'll see what happens. But I think that'd be a good way. I think that would also expand Champions and get more people to be able to try the game and things like that. Of course, you would get the complaints that it's behind a paywall, etc. But Mantic's still got to make money if they're spending the money to put this book together, etc. And you know, you're either going to pay for it in plastic or pay for it or paper and pay for it in digital. So I mean, there's going to be one way to go either way. So you know, another thing too that you know you think about is, you know, we're doing more My Mini Factory campaign things and stuff like that. You know, will we end up with say 4 digital champions companies that they could put up on, you know, a My Mini Factory type of campaign or something like that? 4 seems to be the magic number for that. So
yeah, definitely. And if it's going like which was with Armada, that you got the ship cards with the month when you purchase the package in the vault for the ships. So linking rules to the models is a thing to make sure that your effort as a company isn't wasted in one time. So could be done that they say, yeah, rules, it's either available. I mean, depends on how they change the campaign, and I would really like to see an addition that, like with a QR code or something like that, when you purchase the physical product, you unlock the additional rules in the companion without needing a subscription, or you pay the subscription to unlock the rules if you didn't buy the physical product, but you don't have to pay twice if you want both. So something like that maybe up in future. This would really something I would like to see. And then it's also easier to get this champions going when I say, yep, you purchase the models in the vault as a digital army somewhere. Then you also have access to the rules as a digital product. Or if you don't bought the models, you can have a subscription model or a one-time purchase to access the rules in digital form only. So there are possibilities out there.
Yeah, I'd love to give somebody credit for this, but I can't remember who said it. But it's like, you know, put a QR code in there and give them like 3 months free in the companion. They sign up, they get 3 months for free, and they can try it out. And then, you know, if it works for them, great. So if you're like me and you buy 9 companies worth times 3, you know, that would be a downside, I guess, for Mantic. But, you know, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, whatever, figure out what it is. But, you know, then again, I also was dropping $55 a company. So it's probably in my wheelhouse. But, you know, I mean, it is something to consider, though, to get people used to working with the companion. And that is definitely something and also a direction that Mantic's going on, is, you know, trying to pull a subscription model together. And
I mean,
you know,
doing things. This is a game for new people, so those who really start with wargaming, and everyone likes different things. There are people who like the physical books and won't touch an app or a website ever in their life for gaming, because they actually play games to stay away from the digital life. Others want to have digital rules only and things like that. So just adding more possibilities to have every new player who wants to start with the game to get what they want, and make it accessible for everyone. Those who don't like books can have a digital. Those who don't want digital go with books and cards only. And it's just having the different options available for different people would be nice. And there are definitely possibilities to get this done in future.
Oh yeah, but I mean, again, this is expansion material. It's on top of everything else. It's just laying there, you know. I mean, if you're your typical basement gamer, you may say, I don't need that. I don't want to go digital. Everything's fine with me. You know, I got to have somebody 3D print an army for me. No thanks. You know, they don't have that. I got to collect it all gene that some of us have. So, but you know,
it's a different problem out there. You know,
that's a different problem altogether. But you know, I mean, it's still, the core is still there. You know, so this is just, you know, more if you've liked this particular area. And I draw a parallel to the Advanced Squad Leader Starter Kit. You know, I mean, it started out with volume 1, just infantry and it was it. It was cheap, brought everybody into the game, and it was so popular they put out the second one, and included guns, to it. And then that was so popular, and people were saying, "Where are the tanks?" So they put out number 3, and that brought tanks and armored cars into the game. And then they're like, "Oh man, we need more." So then they put out a historic module based on it, and then they put out module 4 for the core rules that included the Japanese. And it's like, wow, it's become its own subset of game that's below it. And there's a reason for that. I mean, they don't call it the 400 deadly pages of ASL for nothing, at the end of the day. So I was taking a look at the pocket guide for the historic modules that have been put out with all the extra rules. It was 523 pages. I mean, that's just the extra rules for the historic modules. That's not even the core rules. That's just, like I said, the fluff, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, you got to be really into it. So, but again, there's a whole subset, and I think Champions has the opportunity to do that. Okay. Yeah. So, but you got to have people make it popular, buy the products and things like that. And then, they can add on from there. And then, if it's popular enough and it sells, Mantic will, they like to make money, so they'll continue to produce products for it. So, vote with your dollars.
Yeah, that's definitely one. Also, we got the options. Mantic is putting out a fair share of novels and short stories out there. So this is also what we discussed before already. People might like to have their champions featured in a novel, either to go against each other or to discover the world of Panetor. So this would be a good option as well, to go further down the line, to add like those 500 pages of background for the novels in there. As an expansion, might be also digital only with the companion, could be a good option to get people to read it. But this is something we would like to see as well.
Absolutely. So, do you have another thing for the wish list?
Not for the wish list, but I have another round of speculation coming on, because we know the next champion books, or one of the next champions books, is the Xirkaali one. We have already seen the champion that is in there, because it's added as a free model to the all-in bundle on the Mantic website. It's Xirkaali Brawl Master. So for everyone not watching the podcast on YouTube, where we have a picture shown, we go to the Mantic website, look in for the Xirkaali all-in bundle to get a picture of the future champions of that box. And now the big question is, which units are going to be featured in the champions box? Because the Xirkaali gets several plastic kits, and we have a hunter battle group with those werewolves and ranger large infantry models. We have the standard Hemicon heavy infantry, and we have human support troops. The big question is now, will all 3 of them be, or all 4 of them being featured in the champions box, only just 2 of them, and which ones? What do you think, Mark?
Well, let's see. Given that you have the Prowl Master, okay, I think that you are definitely going to get the Planestalkers, and the Wild Fangs are built off of the Planestalker frames, so I think you'll get both of those. And then I think that you will get a singular Lion Snarl Cavalry. Now, I don't know. I mean, you can do that. Now, the thing is, none of those are core. So they're all support models. And I haven't done enough, to go back and look at all the other ones and compare all the unit types and everything else like that. You know what I mean? So I am, and I hate to say this, but I'm not a huge fan of the Yan infantry. So they're also painted in bright orange. And I don't think creeping through the woods in bright orange is such a great idea. I think that this is a real elite, type of woodsy type of, scout unit that's going to be there. And so I think that that's what you would have. So I know that the infantry I think would work out really well. I think the Lion Snarl Cavalry, it comes with what? I think 3 on a base. So you would just get 1. The analog to that is obviously, the Bishop.
Mm.
So, from that standpoint. So what do you think?
I thought about that it might be because usually the Champions boxes feature troop units that we get 1 troop of the Jan infantry for the humans because they have a shooting option, and this might be something that as a shooting support unit in the Champions box as a troop option, and a troop of the Hemicon infantry, and then it depends if the hunters, so the planewalkers and the wildfangs, are both on 1 frame, or how this frame is split if you can build several options of it. So either 3 of those, if it's a possibility, or like, one of the Lance Null cavalry would be an option as well. So, but my tip is for the Wild Fangs as the 3rd unit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just went for the other one just because of the bow. I just think that the
So I'm guessing there will be 1 shooting option.
Yeah.
Sorry. So either way, it will be 1 shooting option in the box, I think, and it's either 1 with the human infantry or 1 with the Wild Fangs, or the Planestalkers. And if the Planestalkers are in there, there won't be the Wild Fangs, I think. So this could be switched around, but definitely there will be 1 troop with the Hemicons, our standard dog infantry, or maybe even 2, because they also have different weapon options. So it could be like with the goblins that you get 2 troops of the same unit with a monster as a 3rd. Yeah, so we talked about that. This is
it's
what other options
interesting. I mean, I think everything's been released, hasn't it? I mean, are we expecting maybe some more frames, or we're just done at this point? So
I don't expect any more frames, but I'm not sure. Don't think we have seen all the options that can be built from the standard frames one, because it was mentioned that the Jan infantry has a shooting option, but none of the build models we have seen shows those really. I mean, you can see when you look at one of those army pictures there, in the background, the 2nd troop unit is built in a different way. So those might be the shooting option, but we haven't seen this one up close yet. So there might be something that we are missing because we don't know the full build possibilities of the frames. It's also from the monster side, because usually all the Champions boxes have 1 big thing going for them and not just the infantry, while the Xirkaali only have the Lance Null cavalry in that regard, which would then be like a carrier base, the same as the Abyss one. And I don't see any large monster in there, but it also doesn't need to be one that is playable in Kings of War, because we know, like the Abyss, the single monster they have doesn't have a direct option in Kings of War like the other units, because they're only available as a regiment and not as a single base hero. So it could be something like this. Depends also on what the frames is out there. With the Planeswalker might be the monster, or I mean the Shokuan, their Kung Fu monkey. That could be a nice addition. That could be a nice one to be the monster in the Champions box.
Yeah, well, the Witch Cage, would be kind of cool. The Wild Fang carrying that cage on his back, he would be kind of cool. He could take the place possibly of, something like the Frost Claw, that's in the Northern Alliance box. You'd have a monster size. So, and then you could have Wild Fangs and the Planes Walkers. going Mark way, to have them in there. But again, you don't have any like core infantry types in there.
Yeah.
So,
So
you'd have to see. So, I mean, because you have the warriors, and then look it up on the wiki, it says spear wardens. And I don't think have we encountered the spear wardens yet, or are they just a version of the warriors?
they are a version of the warriors, but I don't think they have been shown up front yet because if I check this correctly, you can build them with spears, sword and shield, or 2 swords. So there might be three model, 3 unit options for that kit, and not just 2.
Okay.
So could also be so those spear wardens could be a thing. Or those with the 2 swords. So yeah, there definitely be one at least one unit of the Hemicons in there, because you like the dogs are the core and the main theme of the army. So those are going into the champions box. And looking through the monsters, we also have this the Witch Hunter Shooch. So which is on a chariot base with the 2 hunting dogs on there. This would also be a nice model to be in the champions box, and would go with like a brawl master to be with the hunting theme.
Yeah, I thought that too, but the thing is that would be an expensive model, to toss in a box like that. That's why I was thinking, they'll just take one of the Lion Snarl cavalry and throw it in there. I think that would be all right. But I did take a look at that. That would be a very cool thing to be going through the woods with, his support staff there. But, the Prowl Master there, he's kind of the lead guy. So he's going to be the leader, I think. And, chomping through the woods, I guess the monks would be a lot quieter as opposed to the, guys, the warriors chomping around in their armor and everything else like that. They wouldn't be that quiet. See, again, I have this quiet theme in my mind. So,
yeah, of course. I'm also just thinking now what of the hero or monster options are in the boxes already. Like the witch cage is in the battalion box. The battle group or the warrior boxes don't have any monsters. The 2 player set comes with the matriarchs. So yeah, so I don't think the witch cage is in there, because if Mantic don't want you to buy like double the same monster by just expanding with the different boxes. So that once you buy one of each box, you get one of each hero options collected, or monster options. So yeah, a Lion Snarl cavalry could be an option. Definitely see that. The Witch Hunter, the Shoosh is the one thing. The Shoosh or the Shokwan are the 2 things I would like to see in the box there as a monster option. So both would be really cool. But I guess with the Lion Snarl, you are on the right side in that regard. Also because they don't have a cavalry, other cavalry unit, and usually you have something fast with the champions boxes, at least because the boxes so far have always been to have a shooting option, a fast option, and those infantry things like that. So more like a balanced theme. So you want to have as many different style of unit as possible in there. So it might be the cavalry, but yeah. So that said, I'm definitely going to get one of the champions boxes when they are released.
Absolutely. That's a no-brainer. That's absolutely a purchase. Yeah.
So this is also for everyone who is not sure about if they really like the new army and just want to look into it, if it's for them or not, or how the models and the frame looks like. So the champions box is the real right way to get. If you're not sure if what you want, or if you really want to go full into a new faction without knowing anything yet, we wait for the champions box to be released, and then you can try it out on the cheaper side and see what the frames look like, what the models are look, if you enjoy painting them and things like that. So this is definitely what I am going to do.
Fantastic. And it sounds like it's coming out, according to Ronnie, 2 months afterwards. So if we're getting a December release for a lot of the models, February, I guess you could take a look at.
Mm.
You know, so it's probably 2 months after the books are released. So if the books are maybe released in November, it'll come out in January, because you mentioned it, you know, it gives you a Champions month, you know, to kind of go back and refresh on Champions. So we should expect probably a Champions month every 6 months.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. So I'm just looking up because the one-click ultimate bundle that features the free Brawl Master model is saying that it shipped due to December 25. So the question now is if it's 2 months after pre-order or after release. So this should make it somewhere around January, end of January, to be for the Champions box released. So this should fill in like the gap between the invasion books, I think, so between the expansion books, because when we got the first book in November, December released, then we get like 2 Champions boxes in between, and then the next book is coming out, 2 Champions books. So this should give us a nice base on releases and features in there. So expect. I mean, I would really like to have it seen for Christmas, obviously, but I guess January is a good guess for the new Champions box.
Yes. So we'll definitely, it definitely won't be Christmas, because they got to have, 4th ed's got to get its run. So it's got to be the star of the show, and then you bring up Champions on the back end. So definitely. And I see that pattern going forward, which, you know what, quite frankly, I'm okay with. So, you know, if it's January, February, you're going to be looking at July or August for your next box, hopefully. So I think that would be great. You know, I think that would work out pretty well.
Should also work out well for everyone's hobby budget to save up for the next Champions box if they're not too frequent in release. So this is also something I really like on those kind of things, because getting too much at once, you also have to it hurts sometimes, but when you really want something, but you can't save the money up in time because the releases are too close together. So taking things slower is an advantage here, I think, for everyone.
Well, sure. Well, let's say, $55 a month, doing some simple math and using US dollars. You know, if you're going to pick up a box set, you know, basically it's $10 a month. So if you're going to pick up 4 a year, your hobby budget is $40 a month. So stick it aside. You know that you're going to need it. And, you know, every 6 months, you're going to buy 2 boxes. And again, that's if you're me, or, you know, others that are out there that got to have them all. But, you know, if you want your budget to just be 1 box, you know, you save $5-10 a month. I mean, that's putting away pocket money like when you were a kid. So it should be relatively affordable if you just stick it away. It's like, you know, don't hit the McDonald's drive-through once a week and you're good, you know.
I mean, definitely, because we also have to keep in mind, because this is being an entry-level game, that it's also kids we are talking here for their pocket money, what they have to save up. So
yeah. Hey, you know what? That's a really good program. See, you know, teach the kids to save their money and, you know, build their financial future, and at the same time, save for their Kings of War champion companies. I think we're on to something.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay.
All right. Fantastic. We got anything else to cover? Or
no, I think we have covered everything for this episode. If no spontaneous thoughts come up yet, so I think we are done.
Well, we got to save something for our next exciting episode. So as soon as we get some more Champions information, and you know we'll be covering the new box as soon as we get some information on it, we get it in our hot little hands. So which will be fun.
Of course.
And hopefully we'll get some more information on, you know, games and, you know, I don't know, tactics, but, you know, I mean, talk about some games played and things like that. But, you know,
as soon as there's news out there, you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just waiting for you to get your box set out there, Matthias. So
finally, that we can make. So finally a German review of the box, because it's so waiting so long for it. And of
Absolutely.
course, everyone who wants to have certain things discussed or want to know, have a question, want to give some input, your speculation on the topics and things like that, leave a comment, leave it here on YouTube, on Spotify. Join us on the Discord, on Facebook. Come on, do the Kings of War subreddit and have champions discussed and keep it alive and spread the word out there. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and wherever you're listening, have a nice morning, night, or day, and goodbye.
Take care, all. Be well.